when a strange creature washed ashore on Long Island in the summer of 2008. The world was stunned. Photographs spread across the internet, showing a bloated, hairless body with the face of a dog, the claws of a raccoon, and the beak-like snout of something that shouldn't exist. Some called it a hoax. Others claimed it was an experiment, escaped from a nearby laboratory. But a few asked a different question. What if it wasn't the first? Throughout history, stories of hybrid creatures have haunted human imagination, from half-human gods carved into ancient stone to serpents with wings of fire and beasts that guarded the gates of the underworld. Are these myths just the products of imagination, or do they preserve fragments of a forgotten reality? What if, long before modern science, someone else had already mastered the secrets of genetic manipulation? Someone not from this earth? Could monsters of ancient mythology be more than myth? Could they be genetic memories of alien experiments? From the deserts of Egypt to the mountains of Greece and the sacred temples of India, every ancient civilization told stories of creatures that were part human, part beast. In Egypt, the Sphinx guarded the path to divine knowledge, a creature with the body of a lion and the face of a man. In Greece, the Chimera, a fire-breathing fusion of lion, goat, and serpent, was said to be unstoppable. The centaur, half man and half horse, embodied both wisdom and savagery. And deep beneath the underworld, the three-headed Cerberus stood as the eternal guardian between life and death. Travel east, and we find the mighty Garuda of Hindu lore, a winged being so powerful it could challenge the gods themselves. Beneath the surface, the serpent-like Naga was said to dwell, half divine, half reptilian, ruling the waters and guarding secret treasures. And in the ancient Sumerian texts, among the first written records of humankind, appear the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the heavens and, according to legend, created humanity in their image. Across thousands of miles and thousands of years, these legends repeat the same pattern. Beings that are neither fully human nor fully animal, possessing extraordinary strength, and always connected to the gods who came from the sky. Why do so many civilizations, separated by oceans and centuries, describe the same kind of hybrid beings? Created, not born? Could they all be remembering the same event? The same visitors, interpreted through the lens of their own ancient worlds? For centuries, scholars have called these stories myths, symbols of faith, morality, or imagination. But what if they were something more? What if the images carved into temple walls and etched into stone tablets were not symbols of fantasy, but records of technology far beyond human understanding? This is the foundation of the ancient genetic engineering theory, the idea that, in the distant past, an advanced civilization, or perhaps beings from another world, possessed the power to create life itself. They may have combined the DNA of humans and animals, experimenting with form and function, producing the hybrid creatures that still echo through our myths today. When ancient texts speak of gods descending from the sky, were they describing celestial deities, or the arrival of scientists, engineers, and pilots from a world beyond our own? In the Book of Enoch, beings called the Watchers descend to earth and teach forbidden knowledge. The Mahabharata of India tells of gods who ride fiery chariots and wield weapons capable of destroying worlds. And the Sumerian tablets describe the Anunnaki, those who came from the heavens to fashion mankind. Maybe ancient myths weren't stories. Maybe they were eyewitness accounts, told in the language of awe. If the myths are true, traces of these ancient experiments should still remain, buried beneath the layers of dust and time. One of the most mysterious clues lies in the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, a once thriving city of the Indus Valley. Archaeologists discovered human skeletons lying in the streets, their bodies turned to ash, their bones carrying levels of radiation 50 times higher than what would be considered normal. Stone walls appeared to have melted, as if exposed to temperatures hotter than any natural fire. What could have caused such destruction thousands of years ago? Some researchers suggest it mirrors the aftermath of a nuclear blast. Across continents, other relics tell a stranger story. In the deserts of Peru, in the mountains of Turkey, and in the caves of India, petroglyphs and carvings show beings with elongated heads, wings, mechanical suits, and, in some cases, helmets that resemble modern space gear. They stand beside hybrid creatures, part bird, part man, part machine. Could these be symbolic depictions of gods, or literal records of what ancient eyes once saw? Then there are the hybrid skeletons and anomalies found around the world. Skulls unnaturally stretched and reshaped, not by culture or binding, but by birth. Samples of DNA that do not fit known human lineages. Strange structures hidden in the genetic code. Unexplained, as if someone once altered the blueprint of life itself. Different civilizations, separated by oceans and millennia, all tell of the same thing. Creatures of the gods, beings who came from the sky and shaped the earth below. Could these ancient remains be relics of failed genetic experiments? Or the remains of alien human hybrids? In the last century, science has crossed frontiers once thought impossible. What was once myth has become experiment. In the 1950s, Soviet scientist Vladimir Demikhov shocked the world by surgically attaching the head of one dog onto the body of another. Both heads lived, breathed, and even drank water. To some, it was a gruesome display. To others, a glimpse into the terrifying power of biological manipulation. 2 decades later, Dr. Robert J. White in the United States performed head transplants on monkeys, successfully keeping the transplanted brain alive and aware. The boundary between life, death, and identity had begun to blur. Today, in the 21st century, scientists around the world have taken the next step, creating human-animal chimeras. Human cells are now grown inside embryos of sheep, pigs, and even monkeys. These experiments, designed to study organ growth and evolution, push the limits of what defines a species. The ethical debate rages on, but the technology is real and advancing faster than ever before. If we can splice genes today, what could an advanced civilization have achieved thousands of years ago? Perhaps humanity is not inventing something new, but rediscovering what was once known and long forgotten. Could our laboratories be echoing the experiments of beings who walked this planet in the distant past? For as long as humans have looked to the heavens, they have spoken of monsters in the sky. Ancient chronicles describe dragons that breathed fire, their scales shining like molten metal, their roars shaking the earth below. But what if these were not living creatures, but machines, flying crafts powered by fire and light? In texts from the Middle East and Asia, gods are often said to ride chariots of flame that descend from the clouds. In the Bible, the prophet Ezekiel described a wheel within a wheel, radiating fire as it moved through the air. Could these accounts have been ancient witnesses trying to describe technology they could not comprehend? Beneath the seas, other monsters were feared. The Leviathan, said to devour ships whole. The Kraken, with arms that could crush entire vessels. Yet some theorists suggest these legends may point to biomechanical machines, ancient drones or submersibles built not of flesh, but of engineered metal and living tissue. Ancient texts speak of gods riding beasts of fire. But what if those beasts were machines, mistaken for monsters? Across the world, traces of an ancient catastrophe seem frozen in stone. At several archaeological sites, Mohenjo-Daro, Rajasthan, and even parts of Egypt, scientists have discovered human remains showing radiation levels up to 50 times higher than normal. The bodies appear to have fallen suddenly, as if struck down in an instant. Their bones crystallized, their shadows burned into the ground. Nearby, the very stones of the city tell a similar story. Walls fused together, streets glazed into glass, as if they had been exposed to temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than any natural fire could produce. What kind of force could unleash such devastation in the ancient world? If these radiation traces are real, who, thousands of years ago, had the technology to unleash atomic-level energy? Ancient texts speak of weapons of the gods, beams of light that turned men to ash, chariots that shone brighter than 1,000 suns. The Mahabharata describes a blast so powerful that the hair and nails fell out and the food became poisoned. Were these poetic metaphors, or eyewitness accounts of something far more advanced and far more dangerous? Perhaps the gods of legend were not only creators, but destroyers armed with the fire of the atom. If traces of radiation and melted stone do point to a forgotten cataclysm, then who or what was responsible? Two possibilities emerge. The first, a lost human civilization, far more advanced than history remembers. Perhaps they harnessed nuclear power, mastered genetics, and built technologies rivaling our own, only to destroy themselves in a wave of fire and chaos. Legends speak of Atlantis, a world of brilliance swallowed by the sea, and Lemuria, a vast continent erased from maps and memory. Could these myths recall an age when humankind reached too far and paid the ultimate price? The second possibility is even stranger, that Earth itself was once a laboratory, a testing ground for visitors from beyond the stars. According to this view, the gods of ancient texts were not divine at all, but scientists conducting genetic experiments, seeding and shaping life for their own purposes. The Anunnaki of Sumerian legend, said to have descended from the heavens to fashion mankind, may have been the engineers of that living experiment. Whether born of human ambition or alien design, the result was the same: a world forever changed, and a memory buried deep within our myths. Either way, humanity might not be the first intelligent species to walk this planet. Every cell in the human body carries a story, a record written not in ink, but in code. The code of life, DNA. Scientists have mapped much of this genetic blueprint, yet vast portions remain a mystery. Segments once called junk DNA, fragments that appear to serve no function, and whose origin we still cannot explain. What if these fragments are not useless at all? What if they are remnants of something inserted long ago? Across ancient texts, we find cryptic references to beings who mingled with mankind. The Nephilim, described in the book of Genesis as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. In Sumerian lore, the Anunnaki claim to have fashioned humans in their image, combining the divine with the earthly. Could these stories be symbolic memories of genetic blending between species, a merging of human and non-human life? If so, the evidence of that ancient experiment might not lie buried in stone or legend, but within us. Could we be the descendants of hybridization between humans and something not from Earth? Of course, not everyone agrees with the ancient astronaut theory. Most historians and archaeologists argue that these stories of gods and monsters are simply reflections of human imagination, symbolic tales meant to explain nature, power, and fear. To mainstream science, the evidence for alien contact or genetic manipulation is circumstantial at best. Radiation anomalies can be explained by natural geology. Elongated skulls are the result of ritual cranial binding. Hybrid myths, shared archetypes born from the same human mind, our universal need to make sense of the unknown. Skeptics remind us that myth is not proof and coincidence is not connection. And yet, the patterns remain. From Sumer to Egypt, From the Andes to the Himalayas, cultures separated by oceans and millennia all describe the same beings from the sky and the same hybrid creatures that served them. If these are just stories, why are they so consistent across time and continents? Could the collective memory of humanity be holding on to something real, a truth too ancient to prove, yet too powerful to forget? From ancient legends carved in stone to modern experiments in genetic science, a single thread seems to connect them all. The stories of hybrid beings, the evidence of radiation and melted cities, and the scientific breakthroughs of our own age. Each may be fragments of a much larger picture. Were the gods of old truly divine? Or were they explorers, scientists, and engineers from a distant world, wielding technologies that our ancestors could only describe as miracles? Perhaps the monsters of legend were not figments of imagination, but echoes of something real, echoes of creators from beyond the stars. Their presence may have shaped our myths, our beliefs, and even our very DNA. And if they once walked among us, could they return? The answers may lie buried beneath the sands of time, or deep within ourselves, waiting for the day humanity is ready to remember. For thousands of years, humans have lifted their eyes to the heavens, seeking answers to questions older than civilization itself. Who are we? Where do we come from? And who, or what, are the gods we've worshipped since the dawn of time? Across continents and centuries, people built sacred temples, holy mountains, and places of worship, believing these were the bridges between earth and the divine. But what if those bridges were far more literal than we ever imagined? What if, long ago, beings not of this earth came down from the skies, and mankind mistook them for gods? What if the stories of divine miracles, heavenly fire, and flying chariots were not myths, but memories? Today, we can still touch the stones where these stories began, ancient shrines, temples, and monuments that continue to inspire awe. And yet, hidden within their foundations may lie clues to something extraordinary, evidence that the most sacred places on our planet were built to honor visitors from beyond the stars. This is the story of our holiest ground, and the possibility that, in our search for God, we've been following the footprints of ancient astronauts. In the heart of the Middle East lies a city unlike any other, Jerusalem, the cradle of three great faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. For thousands of years, this city has been the stage of miracles, revelations, and wars, all fought in the name of God. At its center stands a sacred plateau known as the Temple Mount, a place where heaven and earth are said to meet. Here, according to Scripture, Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son in obedience to God. Centuries later, King Solomon built a temple so magnificent that it was said to house the very presence of the divine. But ancient texts describe the temple's most mysterious artifact, the Ark of the Covenant, a golden chest said to contain the Ten Commandments, and something else, a power so great it could level mountains, strike men dead, and light the skies with fire. Was it merely a religious symbol, or could it have been a form of advanced technology, a power source from another world? Some ancient astronaut theorists believe the Ark wasn't a metaphor for God's voice, but a literal device, built according to precise instructions from beings who came from the heavens. They point to passages describing how Moses received blueprints for the Ark directly from a glowing figure atop a mountain, surrounded by thunder and smoke. Was this divine revelation or a close encounter? Even King Solomon himself is said to have possessed a mysterious ring, engraved with the seal of Solomon, today known as the Star of David. Legends claim the ring allowed him to control spirits and command unseen forces. Could this ancient magic have been misunderstood technology, perhaps given to him by celestial visitors? And when Jesus of Nazareth ascended into the clouds, when the Prophet Muhammad rose to heaven from this very hill, were these moments of divine transcendence, or journeys aboard something mankind could not yet comprehend? Jerusalem has always been a city of faith, of conflict, of longing. But for those who look deeper, it may also be a marker, a place where gods once walked among men, and where humanity first touched the stars. Deep within the Arabian desert, surrounded by golden dunes and burning sun, stands the holiest city of Islam, Mecca. Every year, millions of pilgrims from every corner of the world gather here, retracing the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad, circling a sacred cube known as the Kaaba. Cloaked in black silk and embroidered with gold, the Kaaba is said to mark the spiritual center of the earth, the point toward which every Muslim prays, 5 times each day. But hidden within its wall lies an object far older than Islam itself, a mysterious black stone, a relic that, according to tradition, fell from the heavens. Ancient records say the stone was delivered to Abraham by an angel, a gift from paradise itself. For centuries, believers have kissed or pointed toward it, honoring it as a divine connection between humankind and the celestial realm. But what is it, really? Scientists who've studied its history suggest that the black stone may be a meteorite, a fragment of rock that once blazed across the sky before crashing to Earth. To ancient eyes, such an event would have been nothing short of a miracle, a fireball descending from the heavens, glowing like the eye of God. Yet, to ancient astronaut theorists, this was not merely a symbol of faith. It was evidence of contact. They propose that the black stone might not just be a meteorite, but the remnant of something engineered, perhaps a fragment of a vessel, a beacon, or a technological artifact left behind by visitors from beyond our world. Even more intriguing are claims that the Kaaba itself is precisely aligned with key celestial bodies, the rising of the star Canopus, the cycles of the moon, and the solstices of the sun. Such astronomical precision, thousands of years before modern science, raises a haunting question: who designed it, and why? Today, the black stone remains sealed away, beyond scientific reach. Muslims revere it as sacred, untouchable, unquestionable. But for those who dare to look deeper, Mecca might not just be the heart of a faith. It could be a cosmic waypoint, a marker of an ancient encounter between Earth and the stars. Hidden deep within the jungles of Western India, along a bend of the Wagora River, lies one of humanity's most breathtaking mysteries, the Ajanta Caves. Carved more than 2,000 years ago into sheer basalt cliffs, 29 temples and monasteries form an arc of stone, a silent crescent of devotion, sculpted entirely by hand, long before the tools of modern engineering ever existed. Inside, time seems to stand still. Walls shimmer with ancient pigments, blues, reds, and golds, depicting the life of the Buddha, surrounded by celestial beings, hybrid creatures, and symbols that appear almost technological. Archaeologists tell us the caves were chiseled by monks over centuries, working only by the light of oil lamps. But the precision of the geometry, the perfect columns, the domes aligned to the rising and setting sun, defies simple explanation. Some chambers are oriented exactly to the solstices, so that once each year, a single ray of sunlight pierces the darkness and illuminates the face of the Buddha. To the faithful, this is proof of divine enlightenment, but to others, it hints at something far beyond faith. Ancient astronaut theorists ask, could such knowledge of solar movement, mathematics, and resonance have come from the heavens themselves? Within these caves stand massive stupas, dome-shaped monuments said to symbolize the universe. Yet, when light strikes them from above, they appear to glow, as if designed to channel energy, or to serve as vessels connecting earth and sky. Some even resemble capsules or craft, complete with niches that look like control panels. Were the monks of Ajanta simply carving spiritual symbols, or were they recording what they once saw in the skies? Beings of light, descending from above, teaching them how to carve, align, and remember. Today, the Ajanta Caves remain a sacred site of peace and meditation. But for those who listen closely, the stones still whisper a question that echoes across time. Were these temples built for gods, or built with them? High in the rugged mountains of northern Ethiopia, where red earth meets the blue of the sky, lies a city carved not by time, but by faith. Its name, Lalibela. At first, you see nothing, only the rolling plateau and the whisper of wind. But then, as you draw closer, the ground opens up, revealing an entire world carved downward into solid rock. 11 churches, perfectly shaped, cut straight from the living stone. Not built, but sculpted from the earth itself. Legend says that in the 12th century, King Lalibela received a vision from God, a command to create a new Jerusalem after the fall of the old one. He began to carve day and night, but soon his workers grew weary. Then, as the story goes, angels descended from heaven and continued the work while men slept, completing, in a few years, what would take lifetimes. To believers, it was a divine miracle. To engineers, it remains a puzzle. Each structure is flawlessly aligned, with vertical shafts plunging deep into the earth and internal corridors linking the sanctuaries below. Even with today's tools, reproducing Lalibela's design would be nearly impossible. Ancient astronaut theorists offer a daring interpretation. They suggest that the angels who helped Lalibela were not celestial spirits, but beings from the stars, using technology far beyond human capability, power tools that cut through basalt as if it were clay, knowledge of light, geometry, and resonance, and perhaps a purpose hidden beneath the churches themselves. Ethiopian tradition tells of a sacred treasure, the Ark of the Covenant, once kept in Solomon's temple, later brought to Ethiopia by Menelik, the first son of Solomon, and the Queen of Sheba. Some say the Ark was hidden here, in Lalibela, before being moved north to the city of Aksum, where it is still guarded to this day. Could these underground churches have been built not only to worship God, but to protect something of immense power, perhaps of extraterrestrial origin? In Lalibela, the stones themselves seem alive, humming with an ancient frequency, a secret that bridges heaven and earth, a place where angels may not have had wings, but machines. In the eastern mountains of Lebanon, hidden within the vast Bekaa Valley, lies a place that defies time and gravity. The ancients called it Baalbek, the city of the sun, where gods were said to walk among men. Today, visitors see the towering columns of Roman temples, the remnants of a city once dedicated to Zeus and Jupiter. But beneath those ruins lies something far older, something far greater. A colossal stone platform, a foundation built with blocks so massive no modern crane on Earth could lift them. Some weigh more than 1,200 tons, carved and fitted with a precision that borders on the impossible. The largest stones ever quarried by human hands. Yet no one truly knows how or why they were placed there. Mainstream archaeologists say the site was a sanctuary, a place of worship. But ancient astronaut theorists see something else. They believe Baalbek was not a temple, but a launch pad. According to ancient texts, the Canaanites worshipped a deity named Baal, the god of the sky, the bringer of thunder and light. He was said to descend to earth in fiery chariots and ascend again to the heavens. Could these stories be memories of ships, not clouds of divinity? In the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of humanity's oldest writings, the hero speaks of a landing place of the gods, where rockets rose and fell amid pillars of flame. Many scholars dismiss this as myth, yet the descriptions sound eerily mechanical, like the roar of engines long before the first machine existed. From above, Baalbek's vast stone terrace is perfectly flat, strong enough to support unimaginable weight. Its design mirrors that of other sacred platforms, including the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Could both sites have served the same purpose, the meeting ground between heaven and earth? The people who once lived here worshipped their gods, not realizing they might have been honoring their creators or their teachers. And perhaps one day, those same beings promise to return to the very platform they left behind. When the winds howl across the ruins of Baalbek, you can almost hear the echo of something ancient. Engines that once shook the mountains, and lights that turned night into day. Was this truly the place where gods descended from the stars? And will they ever come again? From Jerusalem to Mecca, from the caves of India to the mountains of Ethiopia, and across the ancient plains of Lebanon, humanity has built monuments that reach toward the sky. Every stone, every temple, every sacred place tells the same story in different tongues, the story of a connection between earth and the heavens. For some, these places are the dwelling of gods, sanctuaries where prayers rise like smoke and hope takes form. For others, they are the remnants of encounters far older than religion itself, encounters that shaped our myths, our faith, and perhaps even our DNA. Whether it was Solomon's temple, the black stone of Mecca, the glowing stupas of Ajanta, or the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, each site shares a pattern, precision beyond its time, a harmony with the stars, and legends of beings descending from the skies. Maybe ancient peoples saw lights in the heavens and called them angels. Maybe they heard thunder and believed it was the voice of God. Or maybe they witnessed visitors, travelers from distant worlds, whose presence forever changed the course of human history. Yet perhaps the truth doesn't lie in choosing one story over the other. Perhaps faith and science, myth and memory are all fragments of the same cosmic puzzle. A reminder that we are not alone and that our search for the divine has always been a search for our origins. Today, billions still pray toward these sacred places, lifting their eyes to the same sky our ancestors once watched in awe. Maybe they're not just praying to heaven, but listening, waiting for a voice that spoke long ago. Because somewhere between the stones and the stars, between belief and evidence, lies the greatest mystery of all, the story of us, the story of where heaven meets earth. And perhaps the gods we've been searching for have been watching us the entire time. Since the dawn of civilization, one metal has captured the imagination of humankind more than any other. It has driven men to cross oceans, to wage wars, to enslave nations, and to die. Gold. For thousands of years, this shimmering element has been the ultimate symbol of power, divinity, and immortality. Empires rose because of it. Kingdoms fell in its pursuit. But why? What is it about this metal that makes it so sacred, so irresistible, as if something deep within us remembers its true value? Some scientists say it's simple economics. Gold is rare, beautiful, and nearly indestructible. But others believe the truth runs far deeper. Across every ancient culture, from Egypt to Mesopotamia, from the Inca to the Mayans, Gold was seen not as mere treasure, but as the flesh of the gods. It was offered to deities, buried with kings, forged into symbols of the heavens. What if this universal obsession wasn't just coincidence? What if it was inheritance? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that thousands of years ago, Earth was visited by beings from beyond the stars, travelers who came here in search of one thing: gold. They mined it, worshipped it, and perhaps created us to find it for them. Could it be that our fascination with gold, our endless desire to possess it, is not greed, but memory, a forgotten echo of those who came before? From the jungles of South America to the deserts of Egypt, from secret chambers beneath the Sphinx to lost cathedrals in Europe, one question endures. If gold truly connects us to the gods, then where did that connection begin? Deep in the misty highlands of Colombia lies a circular lake unlike any other on Earth. Its surface glitters beneath the morning sun, as if guarding a secret buried for centuries. This is Lake Guatavita, the birthplace of one of humanity's greatest legends, El Dorado, the lost city of gold. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in South America in the 1500s, they heard whispers of a ritual so extraordinary, it defied belief. The local Muisca people spoke of their ruler, the Zipa, a man they called El Dorado, meaning the Golden One. Before the eyes of his people, the Zipa would step onto a sacred raft, his body covered in sticky resin, then dusted head to toe in pure gold. As sunlight struck his skin, he became a living sun, a god reborn in human form. He would drift toward the center of the lake, and there, before the silent crowd, he cast offerings of gold and emeralds into the dark waters, gifts to the deity believed to dwell beneath. Over time, explorers became obsessed with this story. They believed the lake hid unimaginable treasure, enough to make a man richer than any king, and some tried to claim it. In 1912, British engineer Hartley Knowles led an expedition to drain the lake. His team discovered golden artifacts worth more than $20,000, a fortune at the time. But Knowles was convinced that far more remained buried deep below the hardened lakebed. What if he was right? And what if those ancient offerings weren't just religious devotion, but communication? Could the god beneath the lake have been something or someone else? Local legends speak of glowing orbs descending into the water, of strange craft that rise and vanish without a trace. To this day, villagers tell of lights shimmering under the surface long after midnight. Perhaps these are only myths, echoes of imagination born from centuries of storytelling. Or perhaps they are memories, remnants of an encounter that shaped an entire culture's faith in the golden gods of the lake. For the conquistadors, El Dorado became the holy grail of exploration, the ultimate symbol of human greed. But for others, it was proof that the world's legends of gold all led to something greater. Because across the mountains, deep within the Peruvian jungle, lies another legend, one even older and far more mysterious. A place called Paititi, the true city of gold. If El Dorado was a ritual, then Paititi might have been a kingdom. South of Colombia, where the jagged peaks of the Andes touch the clouds, lies a world cloaked in jungle and legend. Here, explorers have searched for centuries for a city said to be built entirely of gold. Its name is Paititi. When the Spanish conquistadors reached the Incan Empire in the 1500s, they heard rumors of a magnificent city hidden beyond the mountains, a sanctuary overflowing with golden statues, walls and temples that shimmered like the sun. It was said that this was the place where the last Incan kings fled, carrying their treasure after the fall of Cusco. To the Spaniards, it was another El Dorado. To the Inca, it was something far greater, a sacred refuge of the gods. Modern explorer Gregory Diamengian has spent more than 20 years searching for this lost city. He believes that ancient Incan roads, cut through thick rainforest and over treacherous mountains, still lead to its hidden gates. Locals say the earth itself guards Paititi, covering it with moss and stone so that no mortal hand may find it. But what if the legends are not just about treasure? What if they are about contact? In the heart of Cusco once stood Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, known in Quechua as the Golden Courtyard. According to chronicles, its walls were plated with sheets of solid gold, and inside, at its center, stood a sacred relic, a massive golden disc called Punchao, said to represent the face of the sun god, Inti. But some stories tell something different. They speak of a disc that descended from the sky, glowing, humming as if alive. The Inca ruler Atahualpa is said to have received it directly from the heavens, and with it, knowledge from the sky beings, who taught his ancestors the secrets of astronomy and metallurgy. Could this golden disc have been more than a symbol? Perhaps a device? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest it might have been a technological artifact, a power source or communication tool that linked the Inca to their gods from the stars, a legend preserved in gold. When the Spanish stormed Cusco in 1533, they looted the temple of Coricancha, tearing away its golden plates. But the disc, the most sacred relic of all, was gone. Priests had spirited it away, hiding it deep in the mountains, perhaps in Paititi itself. For 5 centuries, treasure hunters, archaeologists, and dreamers have tried to find it. Some have vanished into the jungle. Others returned, claiming to have seen ancient stone walls swallowed by vines and carvings of suns and stars. Is it possible that somewhere, beneath centuries of earth and foliage, lies not only the Incan city of gold, but evidence of a connection between humanity and beings who came from beyond our world? The golden disk of the sun, the Inca's bridge to the heavens. Could it be waiting still, buried in a forgotten valley, shining in the dark, a message left by those who once came down from the stars? In the land where gold was the sweat of the sun, perhaps the gods left behind more than myths. For thousands of years, kings, scholars, and mystics have shared one impossible dream: to transform base metal into gold. They called it alchemy. And at the center of that dream was the most legendary object in history, the Philosopher's Stone. In ancient texts, the Philosopher's Stone was said to hold the power to create life, heal disease, and turn lead into pure gold. To possess it meant to hold the secret of the universe itself. But for centuries, it remained only myth, a symbol of divine transformation, not science. That changed in 1924, inside a quiet laboratory at Tokyo Imperial University. Here, physicist Professor Hantaro Nagaoka conducted an experiment that would shock the scientific world. He directed 150,000 volts of electricity at a mercury isotope in an attempt to knock a single proton from its nucleus. After 4 hours, the impossible happened. The mercury had changed into gold. For the first time in recorded history, a man had achieved the ancient dream of alchemy, but the process required enormous energy, and the yield was tiny, just a trace amount of gold. Still, it proved a point that once belonged only to legend, that one element could, in fact, become another. Could it be that the alchemists of old knew something we have only rediscovered? That their cryptic symbols, the circles, serpents, and suns, weren't metaphors for the soul, but blueprints for technology far beyond their time? Even Sir Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientific minds in history, secretly obsessed over the philosopher's stone. He spent years translating alchemical manuscripts, convinced that ancient knowledge could unlock the secrets of creation. Yet in his time, the English crown forbade alchemy, punishable by death, for fear that transmuting gold would destroy the value of all currency. But what if the true reason was deeper? What if those in power already knew that the ancients had done it, and that their knowledge came from somewhere, not of this earth? Today, scientists understand that gold is born in the hearts of dying stars, forged in the nuclear furnaces of supernovas, scattered across galaxies. Every atom of gold on Earth was once part of a star that exploded billions of years ago. When we hold gold, we are literally touching stardust. But what if ancient civilizations knew this cosmic truth long before modern physics? What if the alchemy they spoke of was not mystical at all, but the memory of technologies shared by visitors who harnessed the power of the atom itself? At the University of California, Irvine, scientists today can reproduce the same transmutation process. By bombarding Mercury-196 with neutrons, they can transform it into real gold, a modern philosopher's stone hidden inside a nuclear reactor. It's inefficient, costly, but it works. If we can do this with our limited technology, what could a civilization, guided by beings with knowledge of the stars, have accomplished thousands of years ago? Perhaps the search for the philosopher's stone was never about greed, but about reclaiming a lost understanding of how the cosmos itself creates life and matter. In the secret fire that turns lead into gold, maybe the ancients glimpsed the power of the gods. For centuries, the sands of Egypt have whispered the same riddle, a question that has haunted archaeologists, mystics, and dreamers alike. Why were the Great Pyramids built? And what secrets still lie hidden beneath the gaze of the Sphinx? Mainstream scholars tell us the pyramids were tombs, monuments to the pharaohs. But if that were true, why have no mummies ever been found inside the Great Pyramid? Why is its inner design so precise, its geometry so perfect, its orientation aligned with the stars of Orion's belt, a constellation the ancients called the home of the gods? Could the Great Pyramid have served another purpose, something far more powerful and far more advanced? Engineer and researcher Christopher Dunn once proposed a radical idea that the Great Pyramid of Giza was not a tomb, but a machine, a massive power plant built thousands of years ago, capable of harnessing Earth's natural energy. He believed that the arrangement of the inner chambers, the King's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, and the Queen's Chamber were not ritual spaces, but components of a resonant system. Granite blocks, rich in quartz, could have vibrated with acoustic energy. Water channels beneath the pyramid may have generated power through harmonic resonance. If that were true, then the Great Pyramid might have functioned as a colossal reactor, a device that transformed energy, perhaps even matter itself. Could it have been the original philosopher's stone? Gold, after all, was not only abundant in Egypt, it was sacred. The ancient Egyptians called it the flesh of the gods. They believed it carried the essence of the sun, and that by covering their temples and tombs in gold, they could draw divine power from the heavens. But where did this belief come from? And why did Egypt have more gold than almost any other land in the ancient world? Some researchers suggest that the Egyptians didn't just find gold, they may have manufactured it. If the pyramid truly acted as a reactor, it might have been capable of transmuting elements, turning base metals into gold, just as Nagoka did in his 20th century laboratory. Could the Great Pyramid have been a machine built not by men, but with knowledge from the gods themselves? Beings who understood the laws of the universe, the same laws that forge gold in the hearts of dying stars. And then there is the guardian of this ancient complex, the Great Sphinx. At 241 feet long and 66 feet high, it is the largest monolithic statue on Earth. Half lion, half man. A fusion of beast and human intellect. Egyptologists date it to around 2500 BC, but some geologists, like Dr. Robert Schoch, have pointed to erosion patterns suggesting it could be thousands of years older. If that is true, then the Sphinx may predate even the pyramids, a relic from a lost civilization. Ancient astronaut theorists go one step further. They propose that the Sphinx is not merely symbolic, but biological, a monument to genetic experimentation. A reminder that, according to ancient Sumerian texts, extraterrestrials known as the Anunnaki came to Earth to mine gold and created humankind as their workers. If they truly mixed their DNA with early humans, the Sphinx, half man, half beast, may stand as a monument to that moment of creation. Beneath the Sphinx, ground-penetrating radar has revealed a network of hidden chambers and tunnels, a vast labyrinth that some believe leads to a legendary vault, the Hall of Records. Said to have been built by survivors of Atlantis nearly 12,000 years ago, the Hall of Records was designed to preserve all the knowledge of the gods, their history, their technology, perhaps even their gold. What might lie sealed beneath those ancient pores? Golden artifacts? Lost technology? Or perhaps something even greater, a portal, a doorway to the stars from which our creators came? For centuries, the Sphinx has watched over the sands, its silent gaze fixed upon the rising sun, as if waiting for something, or someone, to return. Maybe the secrets of Egypt are not about death, but about the energy of life itself, the golden bridge between man and the stars. In the quiet hills of southern France stands a tiny village that has haunted treasure hunters for more than a century. A place whispered to conceal one of the greatest mysteries in Europe. Its name is Rennes-le-Château. For centuries, rumors have surrounded this place. Tales of hidden gold, secret catacombs, and a priest who became impossibly wealthy overnight. His name was Béranger Saunière. In the late 1800s, Saunière was a modest clergyman with a crumbling church and an empty purse. But after renovating the old chapel of Mary Magdalene, everything changed. Almost overnight, he began spending extraordinary sums, building towers, gardens, and lavish decorations, as though he had discovered a treasure beyond imagination. When asked about his sudden fortune, Saunière offered no answer. He simply smiled and said that his church was blessed. Legend says that while repairing the altar, he found ancient documents sealed within the walls, maps or parchments that revealed the location of a lost Visigoth treasure buried beneath the church. Some say he unearthed gold stolen from Rome itself, hidden since the 5th century. Others believe he discovered something far greater, something not of this world. Before his death in 1917, Saunière confided his secret only to his devoted housekeeper, Marie Denarnaud. Years later, as she lay dying, Marie tried to reveal the truth, whispering, "The people of this village walk on enough gold to make them rich for 100 years, and they have no idea." But a stroke silenced her forever. The secret died with her. Yet one clue remained, carved above the entrance of the church, a Latin inscription reading, "Terribilis est locus iste." It's often mistranslated as, "This place is terrible." But in truth, it comes from the book of Genesis, when Jacob dreams of a ladder connecting heaven and earth. The real meaning is, this place is awesome. This is the house of God. To some, it's a simple verse of faith. To others, it's a message, a code. Ancient astronaut theorists believe Saunière's church was built upon a stargate, a gateway between worlds, where the veil between dimensions is thin. For decades, locals have reported strange lights in the night sky, unexplained power surges, even distortions in time itself. Some claim to have seen glowing spheres rising from the nearby hills, others, dark figures that vanish into the air. Could it be that Saunier stumbled upon not just gold, but technology, a relic of the gods buried beneath his church, and that the treasure of Rennes-le-Château was never meant to make men rich, but to remind them of their origin among the stars? Even today, the air in Rennes-le-Château feels charged, heavy with mystery. Visitors say the ground itself hums beneath their feet, as if something ancient still sleeps below, waiting to be found. Was this small French village a gateway to heaven, or to somewhere far beyond it? Perhaps the true treasure of Rennes-le-Château is not gold but a door. 7 miles south of Edinburgh, Scotland, perched upon a quiet hill, stands one of the most mysterious buildings in all of Europe, Rosslyn Chapel. Built in the 15th century by Sir William Sinclair, this small stone church has inspired centuries of fascination. Some believe it hides the treasure of the Knights Templar. Others claim it guards the holiest relic in human history, the Holy Grail. Rosslyn's walls are alive with carvings, angels, vines, geometric symbols, but most curious of all are the green men, faces of nature, sprouting leaves and vines from their mouths, a symbol of rebirth and eternal life. Historians see them as echoes of pagan worship. But to those who study ancient secrets, the carvings tell a different story. They believe Rosslyn Chapel was designed as a code, a repository of hidden knowledge gathered from across the ancient world. Some call it the New Temple of Solomon, a place where sacred wisdom, the Grail, and the gold of the gods converge. Legend says that the Templars excavated beneath Jerusalem's Temple Mount during the Crusades, discovering caverns filled with golden relics and forbidden texts. When the church turned against them, they fled north, carrying their treasure, and perhaps the Grail itself, to Scotland, and hid it here, within Rosslyn Chapel. But what exactly is the Grail? Is it a cup, a vessel that once held the blood of Christ? Or could it be something far more profound? Some researchers believe the Grail is not an object, but a symbol, the vessel of life itself, our DNA. When you look closely at Rosslyn's most famous column, the apprentice pillar, you see 2 spiraling strands twisting upward, like the double helix of human genetics. Could this design be more than coincidence? Could the architects of Rosslyn have encoded the secret of life, the memory of those who gave it to us? Ancient astronaut theorists propose that the Grail represents humanity's link to its cosmic creators. Not a cup, but a message, a reminder that our blood, our DNA, is the true treasure of the gods. And perhaps that is why gold, the incorruptible metal, was so sacred. Because gold is the perfect conductor of energy. In every ancient temple, in every legend, gold is both material and divine, a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, between Earth and the stars. From the jungles of South America to the deserts of Egypt, from the catacombs of France to the halls of Rosslyn Chapel, the search for gold has always been more than the search for wealth. It is the search for origin, for memory, for connection. Perhaps that is why humanity cannot let go of its fascination with gold, because deep down, in the quiet code of our being, we remember what it meant to those who came before us, and what it might still mean to those who will return. If the ancients were right, if gold truly connects us to the gods, then maybe when we reach for gold, we are reaching for home. Gold, not just the treasure of kings, but the light of the cosmos itself, a gift from the stars, to the children who still look up and remember.